So tonight we're kicking off uh, my short course on resilience, and as many as you well know, that it's like anything; it just must be practiced. So there we go. So I would be known for resilience, and I suppose it's we all bring our own work into our background and our biography into our own work. And I suppose my life, I developed a lot of resilience. Like most of us, we have resilience, but we don't always realize it, unfortunately. And a lot of people get stuck in life. So uh, it's something I enjoy teaching people about and how to get it back into their life. We seem to have a lot of resilience as children. And as we get older, we tend not to tap into it. But I found, especially working in specific sports, as some of you know, I grew up in boxing, and mental toughness is uh, it would be a bigger subject and more popular subject, that you have to be mentally tough in life. And I went down that path myself, again, just to my own circumstances and experiences in my younger life. Went to School of Hard Knocks, where every day you got knocked about if you didn't hit back. You were usually through into the boxing club, judo, or something else. If you didn't have a group around you to protect you in the school. When I first went into the school, I got my cheekbone broke and my nose fractured, and the bullying was every day. Didn't report it, and you just had to do something. You had to get tough. So that's where my father threw me into the boxing, because that's what parents done in them days. You couldn't come home crying. You were told to toughen up. So that was the beginning of me building my mental toughness and building a suit of armor around myself, so to speak. And that journey, I ended up into martial arts from that. I always was looking for more, how to be stronger, how to be tougher than most other people. And it's really based on fear. I think a lot of us do that. We surround ourselves psychologically and physically, even with other people, to keep safe. You feel safe in crowds. That's why we join groups in society, whether it's a sports group, a political group. Even people join gangs. Why? It allows them to feel safety in numbers. So the mental toughness, I would see it more now. Anything that gets too hard will become brittle, and it can break. And I noticed over the years, a lot of friends I grew up with in that arena ended up as alcoholics or took their own life. And they just didn't know how to adapt to change and loss in specific circumstances in their life. So as I said, I had built myself up that way until the year 2000. I lost my younger brother through suicide, and I found him in my mum's garden. And I had another couple of deaths after that, and suddenly striking out, bracing yourself to be hit, was totally pointless, useless. So in the end, I wanted to study, and my background, I had through the martial arts, I'd trained in my Chinese medicine and the musculoskeletal therapies, the Tui Na from China, the Chinese physiotherapy, with acupuncture, the traditional Thai therapies, sports injury management with rehabilitation, sports science. But I hadn't tapped into the mind. I didn't know what the mind was. I wasn't aware that we had an irrational mind. And I suppose the toughest part of losing a loved one through suicide is the question, why? Why didn't they say something? Why could I not have stopped it? Why did the doctors not help? So the guilt kicks in, you beat yourself up, and usually most of the family and friends will go into depression themselves. So, and that's where I went. I got very, very low. I lost my job at the time as a fitness suite manager. I closed my clinic at a sports injury clinic, and I went into really, really severe depression, a neurotic depression. I got myself out of it through study. I get interested in the irrational mind. What is this mind that causes the irrational behavior, the thoughts of the self harm, of self sabotage? So then I began to study hypnotherapy, starting with professional hypnotherapy. There was some NLP, neuro linguistic programming with it, and then advanced medical hypnotherapy. That was to work with consultants and doctors to help people in chronic pain or with terminal illness. So through the years, then I applied all my own work together and began to simplify it, because a lot of my work would have been with the youth in society, programming them in resilience, giving them tools to deal with the blows that come from life. And that's what I do up to today. I call the program Tools for Life, and it's just giving people tools, processes, taking advanced psychology, simplifying it, and giving you a toolkit where you can be the best version of yourself and hopefully have a better life, a better quality of life. So I like this photograph when I seen it, because that is, no matter how tough and hard you think you are, there will always be somebody tougher and harder in life. It's usually life itself. So there you go. Just a short bit of background on where I got to where I am today, and why I think this is an important subject. And as I said, you can, it doesn't matter how big and strong that you are. Yeah, if you face somebody bigger and stronger, or a bigger obstacle in life, you will be defeated. So it's about becoming like the deer, thinking in different strategies, having many strategies and a lot of support in life, and many tools, so that you can avoid these obstacles, and even at times ask for help and support. And I find, a lot of therapists on this will understand this as well. When you get into therapy, you believe that, no, I'm supposed to be the expert, and I will fix this, and I will sort myself out. Where in reality, it doesn't always work that way. It doesn't mean that you're not a good therapist when you have to ask for help. Everybody should have somebody that they can go to switch off and unload, or have them look at your problem from a disassociated position, because they're not emotionally attached to it. And Eamon would understand this, that we're so caught up in our problem state that we can't see a solution. The only thing that is going on inside our system is confusion, anxiety, and frustration. And it's not a good state to try and work out a solution for a human problem. Okay. So, as I said earlier, I work with a variety of sports. I enjoy getting into universities as well and speaking to university students, some in postgraduates, who a lot of them would have the skills and resources, but they haven't the confidence to go into a placement. Some of them won't even answer a phone to a stranger. And it's quite, when I first started speaking to them, I was actually quite shocked that they had these anxieties and worries. The first time I was in Ulster University, I was asked to go up and speak to students who were in their second year of it. It was a new degree at the time in business and entrepreneurship. And a lot of them were dropping out of the degree, and they wanted to know why. And driving up to the university, I thought to myself, how do they not understand this? Why they're dropping out. If you're dropping out of anything in life, once it gets tough, you haven't worked out your big why you're actually doing it, what your end result will be. Because we're pleasure seekers, and if something starts to seem like a chore in life, the mind will always look for an excuse to get out. And that's what I would ask them. Why do this degree? What's so important about it? They'll usually say, well, you can get a good job. Well, what's a good job? Something with good money. What's good money? And then it usually goes quiet. Where do you want to live? Where are you going to live? Where are you going to go on friends with your on holiday each year? And you get this silence around the room. So even the basic principles of human motivation haven't been covered and discussed with these students before they go into the courses. Some of the other photos are local international boxers and dancers, performing arts. I work a lot with musicians and dancers, usually America, Canada, Australia. So I've been doing that for 20 years. I don't dance and I don't play any music. In case you think later on I'm going to be teaching anybody how to dance there, I don't dance. Actually, a lot of dance teachers, when they fly me out to America, they ask me who I danced for, and they're very surprised when I say I don't dance. I wish I could dance. It's a phenomenal skill, the Irish dancing especially. So, and then with the professional musicians, when you're working with a musician, it's quite different from working with athletes. Same as with a performing artist, a dancer. There's a different energy within the system. You can push yourself and run around a track. A dancer has to do the same thing at maximum performance. It's anaerobic, but they have to look good when they're doing it, and they have to express specific emotions. And specific emotions will give the body specific resources. The first feeling energy that I bring in has to give them strength, timing, posture and movement, endurance, lightness, and expression. That'll be the first two stages. And I'll actually know when I look at them. Even with this was Fanula Sherry, she was taking panic attacks. She won the Eurovision Song Contest, and she's lead violinist in The Secret Garden. Phenomenal player, but started taking panic attacks and wouldn't go on the stage. And then the panicking and the anxiety gets so much, and she'd seen so experts, but I don't know them, but obviously they weren't that good, because they told her she couldn't be fixed, as if she was broke. And she looked at them thinking, well, my career's over because these people are experts and they've told me this, which was nonsense, really. So I went down and done 2 sessions with her, and then she flew to Norway and played for 10,000 people, and then she flew to Korea and played for 20,000 people. She was just stuck. And again, that's resourcefulness, looking at different tools to get yourself unstuck. So there's many, and again, you'll get a lot of different strategies from different people, again according to their background. Some might suit you, some might not suit you, and that's the beauty of having all these tools and all these different personalities delivering these tools. It's the same as with a therapist or a speaker. Some people love the really great, the big speakers. Out of 5, say Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn. I like Jim Rohn. I love his character, his voice. It's not to say that the others aren't as good. I just took to him. I felt instant rapport when I started watching him. Zig Ziglar, some people love Zig Ziglar. So that's the beauty of having a variety of therapies and therapists and coaches. You can take one that actually suits you, because we're not all the same, thank God. So these are just some of the corporate work that I've done, and it's the exact same process as I would use with a dancer, a musician, an athlete, with the some of the lecturers in universities, managers in banks, hotels. The last resilience course I ran was for the Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service. It was for the new firemen that was just trained up. And they told me I was the first external instructor that they'd brought in 30 years. They'd never had anybody coming in from outside. They only used their own instructors. And it was the first time they actually spoke about resilience. A lot of these places will have a clean-up service once the trauma is over, the post-traumatic stress. But nobody ever thought of putting in the resilience tools so the trauma doesn't have as much impact and that you can recover quicker. So that was just my theory on it. It was great. I enjoyed that because I think, well, most of the male population as a child, I think a lot of us want to be a fireman. I know I did. I remember somebody in careers coming into our school and asking everybody what you wanted to be, and everybody said a fireman. Okay. So this would be a graph of building resilience to, I think this was taken off a coach. I can't remember the specific coach. So this is somebody who's just coaching. They're not in a field where resilience is really, really important, like the police service or the fire service. So, so gratitude, being grateful for what you have. And some of you will know that there's some phenomenal therapies and a lot of science behind gratitude now. Self-care. We all know the importance of self-care. Do we use it? No, not all the time. Positive affirmations. Do they work? If they're done properly. They shouldn't be done on their own. Deal with it now. Don't dwell or ignore it. Easier said than done. Because it depends on your personality and your circumstances and how you feel at the moment. If something comes up, you might want to deal with it later, or you might want to ignore it totally, depending on you, the individual. It is good to deal with it straight away. Say even after an accident in a car, get straight out and drive again. Don't let it dwell. Don't let it the video that you're running in your head get bigger and stronger. Quality questions, again, that would be from the NLP. You ask yourself a quality question, you get a quality answer. Instead of, why do I always mess up when I play on the pitch? Your brain will give you an answer. Oh, well, you're never on time for the ball, your endurance isn't great, etc., etc. But if you ask yourself a quality question, like, how can I improve my performance? Your brain will give you answers to that. So that's what's meant by quality questions. And very, very important, a good support team. As I said earlier, we all need good support in life. And most of us, hopefully on this, will have somebody from childhood, school friend, who you can just lift the phone and speak to them at any time. I have a couple of friends like that. Some of them I wouldn't, even if I hadn't seen them in 2 years, and I lift the phone, they'll not say, where have you been? Or, no, sure, you haven't kept touch. Straight there, no questions. And it's just lifelong support. And I think most of us, if we look around us, we'll have somebody like that. You might have somebody like that and you're not aware that they're actually there. I've noticed that as well. Okay, and then, so this graph is more like life coaching, or somebody that's maybe took stuff out of a book and made a nice graph. And then you have the likes of the Navy SEALs. And I have a lot of friends who, and they're still same age as me, still in the military. They're in Baghdad. Once they're retired from the army, they get into security work, bodyguard work, and we have a lot of discussions about this type of work and how they deal with trauma and life in general. Even their biggest battle is the aftermath, the memories that they're working with, are reliving over and over and over again. And thank God there's a lot of great strategies now to deal with post-traumatic stress disorder. So this would be the Navy SEALs 6 steps for resilience. Eat the elephant, and we've all heard that before. If something seems too big to eat in one sitting or to deal with in one go, chunk it down. Again, another NLP term, chunk it down. Break it down into small components and work at it piece at a time. Visualize success. Again, easier said than done. It has to be practiced and practiced and practiced. We're constantly visualizing on a daily basis, usually in a negative way, if you're feeling negative. Because what you feel, this is the projector seat. So what you feel projects images. That's just how we work. If we are all feeling fear at the moment in our system, say there's loud bangs outside where you're sitting now, maybe somebody's squealing and fear kicks in. Although you can't see anything, you build images, maybe of somebody being shot, being mugged. So if you're invited to a birthday party and a lot of your friends, your good friends, are going to be there, some of them are quite fun, and you're getting ready to go and you're thinking about the party, the images they're great. This, in the brackets, basketball, 23%, 24% was the improvement on the shooting of the basket. And this was after specific sports visualization. You can call it waking hypnosis, creative visualization, sports hypnosis. You can put whatever label you want on it. It's usually quite similar. It's the same, really. The first study I read on that was from a German diving team. I used to subscribe to a Sports Science magazine 20 years ago, and they took a German diving team and they scored them all, and then they took half the team away for a week, and they weren't allowed near the pool. They had to lie in a room for an hour, like twice a day, and visualize the perfect dive with all the sub-modalities, how it would feel, and all the senses. The other half of the team trained in the pool. Okay, they brought them back, and everybody in the team had put 2 points on their dive. So the guys that stayed in the pool training and the same guys that visualized. Now you need both. A lot of people in life think that, it's like the book The Secret. I'm just going to sit here and visualize, and somebody's going to drive that fancy car up my driveway. I don't have to work for it. Yeah, that's like me sitting here thinking, by this time next year, I am going to be playing a guitar in a band, but I haven't even bought a guitar, and I'm not going to practice. So you have to get real with yourself. Visualizing success goes hand in hand with the actual action and the practice. It's no shortcut. Emotional control. The 4-4-4 is the breath work, and there's a lot of different. Something I would be big into is breathing work. Growing up in the martial arts, we call it qigong.
Chi is life force, the breath, the force in the breath, and the gung is the working with the breath. So and over the last 11 years studying the some of the Russian methods from the Russian military, the Spetsna, have a lot of good breathing exercises as well. So the 4-4-4 is quite simple, and it's a nice one to start with, where you'll breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and breathe out for 4 seconds, because we tend to hold our breath under stress or anxiety, and even at times when you're overthinking, you will hold your breath. So that's what the Navy SEALs are talking here about. They'll to get their mind focused, they'll start doing breathing exercises. And it says there's quite a lot of breathing exercises. There's some when you're under pressure, there's some you bring fear in, and then of course you have, which is very, very popular, and it's great to see everybody practicing it, would be the Wim Hof breathing, because there's been more scientific studies performed in that man than anybody on the planet. And all the evidence is there that it's really good for us. So why not practice it? We used to come on, Eamon, did you come on that? We used to come on at night and practice the Wim Hof on the Zoom.
Yes. Yeah, no, I continue doing it. I don't do it as much, but it's a great high. I do it before I go play football. I do about 20-25 minutes before I play football. And I feel the benefits definitely from exercising after that. I do also feel that if whatever mood you want to put yourself in from breathing, but it does give you, I was never high, I never took drugs or anything like that. So, but it does, whatever sensation you get from it, Sean, I have to say it's something that I haven't feeling before. And when you start holding your breath up to 3.5-4 minutes, and you're watching your hand, nearly thinks you're dead because you've held your breath for so long. You know, I do think it's a phenomenal. Wim Hof is, it's one of my on my to-do list to do next year is do a course with Wim Hof.
It's great that like everybody's doing it, and I brought it into my therapy. I would see a lot of young boys who maybe their parents have caught them on starting to smoke drugs, so they want to get that, to say, well, it makes me feel really relaxed, it gets rid of my anxiety. And I'll say to them, well, listen, I'm going to teach you a breathing pattern that will do the same thing, and it's a lot cheaper. It's free. And I done it with a group about 3.5 months ago of teenagers who were going to South Africa to help out in an orphanage. And these teenagers had been in trouble all their life, and a lot of them were still taking dope and that. So I told them about it. They didn't believe it, and we done 4 rounds of Wim Hof, and that was them. They loved it, and it's a replacement. And as I said earlier, there's so many tools out there that we can all use. I like the simple ones with the biggest impact. Give it to somebody. Let them feel it. It's better felt than dealt. I can talk to them all day. But if they feel it, experience it through their own system, then they'll take it and they'll use it. So non-reactivity, that's internally. And what I call this is the echo in the autonomic nervous system. Everything that happens to us, and even if we're thinking of things that's going to happen or might happen, there's an echo within the nervous system. And it's either one that's going to switches on or switches off. So to me, not all the time, but most circumstances, we feel before we actually think. What you feel tells you what to think. I was using this earlier at the office with a dancer who is phenomenal. Dances all over the world, but they're suddenly throwing up now. They're actually being physically sick when they get on the stage halfway through the dance sometimes. And I was explaining to them that it's irrational sickness, and it's coming from your irrational mind. So obviously you've developed a new recipe for disaster here. And
the first thing I done was ask her to sit beside the heater, put her coat back on till she get really, really warm, and then notice what's the voice in your head telling you, because it notices the temperature change. Same way you would notice an emotion. And it was telling her to take her coat off or open the door. If she stood outside and experienced fear, same thing. The voice in your head will tell you to put your coat on or get back indoors. So when you feel, then it generates a voice and it builds images. And it happens in a millisecond. So this is the non-reactivity. What these guys will have to do in the SEALs. And again, we discussed this. I had a retreat recently there down in Glendalough, and one of my friends that was down was talking about his time in the army when they were out in Africa, and a flash grenade went off at his feet while in the middle of conflict, but it didn't faze him because he didn't react internally because of his training over the years. That takes a lot of practice. Now, we don't have to go into that extreme, but you can, and again, going back to the NLP, we call them neuro associations and anchors. So we can build an anchor where you're not reacting emotionally. Again, it's a technique I would use depending on the sport. Thinking of a dirt track racer on the motorbike. His wife brought him to me years ago and says that he should be All-Ireland champion, but he just wasn't, he was too nice. He wouldn't run other people off the track, other bikes. Apparently that's what they do. So I developed another part for him, but only when he put his motorbike helmet on. He had no emotion whatsoever. Took his fear down as well. And he won his title. So that, again, most of our techniques, all therapists, what do they do? While you're there, you want to change how you feel. So they have a repertoire of techniques on changing how you feel in certain circumstances or on a daily basis. To me, that's what any therapy does. Some of them are quick, some are strong, some are brilliant, some take a long time. But then there's some people, they're maybe not ready for the change that quick. Or if you change it too quick, they think, that's too good to be true. It's going to come back again. Yeah. Small victories. Celebrating your victories and your achievements in life. Again, something we don't always remember to do. You should do that every day. Like, people ask me about meditation. What's the best meditation? Is it on the meridian system? Is it from the Xing Chuan, the mind boxing? Is it, this, is it that? The best meditation that any human being can do is to sit down and go back as far as you can and relive all your achievements in life, from learning to ride a bicycle, learning to swim, learning the first day getting into big school, learning how to interact, new teachers, new people, new subjects, new negotiations with people you don't get on with. Relive all the good stuff. It's all there. When you go back into that memory, you must feel how you felt in that memory. So how are you going to feel after 15 minutes of reliving all the good stuff in your life? To me, that's the best meditation. And you're reminding yourself on a daily basis of who you are and how capable you are of dealing with the future. It's the same as I teach it. I try and put my work in my Qigong. Qigong is just the synchronize the breath with the movement. So you'll see it's like, I call it the idiot's guide to Tai Chi, because you don't have to learn big sequences. So you'll take a movement and you'll synchronize it with the breath. Okay. So in the West, we train like this. On the gym, moving really fast. Takes the brain waves in real high beta state. When you're breathing, if you synchronize it with the breath, even if you start fast, it will slow itself down, and then it'll eventually want to slow down. And then your body will want to stop moving. Now, it depends on you and how long you've done it for. When you get the intention you don't want to move, that's an indication your brain waves have just went into an alpha state. So now you're ready for your meditation. But if you sit there and try and meditate if you had a stressful day and you're anxious and you're tight, maybe somebody pulled out and you hit your car and you're maybe angry and you just arrived at your yoga class and your yoga teacher saying, okay, everybody sit down and relax. You're just like, oh, yeah. So I always like the Neigong, the hard gong, the iron shirt, into the Qigong, the soft work, to no movement, to the post training, and then you work with your mind. So it's very natural. Anybody can do it. I like using it with people with addictions. I have a workshop coming up soon for Cocaine Anonymous, and they can't relax. A lot of these guys just cannot switch off. They're rock hard. So I will give them as much tension and, rock hardness in their body as they want for the first 30 to 40 minutes until they're begging to relax. And then when they get to that state, I will just take them into relaxation, and from there to non-movement. And then we can work with the subconscious mind to associate pain to the substance. So just, I'm a 2-feeder. I would call myself I jump in with 2 feet and I work and work and work and work. And if that tool doesn't work, I work with another one. And over the years, I've simplified it. I want to make everything shorter. I want to have more impact with it so that I can give people something simple to work with in their daily life. Small factors. So find your tribe. And I mentioned that earlier. Find your tribe, like-minded people who, because we like people who we think are like us. Isn't that why when we go on holiday, where the Irish people go when they land in America, they look for an Irish bar. They do it in Spain as well. But when you find an Irish bar in Spain, it's usually full of German people for some reason. I don't know why. So we feel safe when we're with people who are like us. Yeah. And that's just built into safety in numbers. So find your tribe, like-minded people, and people who will support you. And that's very important also for teenagers. Very, very important. A lot of them, especially when they go into the secondary school, they have to find new friends in a new group. And a lot of them feel they mightn't fit in. Bullying might start, emotional problems, and it suppresses their schoolwork and their emotional health and well-being. And then the last but not least, apply. Practice this stuff. I think in today's society, there's too much information and it's too easy to get your hands on it. And I would be guilty of it too. I eat books and I can't read books fast enough now, so I actually listen to them when I'm driving as well. So I think we all, and it's like, but it's not being applied, a lot of it. It's not being applied. It's just gathering the information. And a lot of people out there gather the information. It's like me telling you to read a book about boxing, and then I enter you for a white collar boxing event. You must know your stuff. You must practice it. The resilience is no different. Start chunking things down. If you have issues or problems in life, chunk them down. Visualize your outcome. Get excited about it. Practice controlling your emotional intelligence as well. It's very important. Try not to react. If you've negative anchors, you have to learn to break them down and replace them. And celebrate your life. Celebrate who you are. Because at the end of the day, there's never been anybody like you before. And when you pop your clogs, there'll be nobody like you again on the planet. So you're in this journey once, make it a good one. Be the best version of yourself, not what other people expect you to be. And again, that's something to see a lot working with teenagers. They try and be everything for everybody because they want to feel accepted. Whereas you have to get to the point in life where If you like me, that's great. I'm happy. If you don't like me, you don't accept me, you deal with it, because I like me and I accept me and I can't be anything else. And that's an internal self-esteem. And that's a massive resource for resilience in life. You're not going to be pulled from pillar to post. That's just another one from the army, very similar. So understand who you are, your uniqueness. You're not a sheep. People eat sheep. You just didn't know that. You're a very unique person. Understand your resources. Remind yourself where you've came from, especially what you've overcame as well, because that's a massive achievement, overcoming obstacles in life. A lot of us go to courses and you hear, even if you ask somebody, tell me some of your biggest achievements in life. Oh, I got a degree, I started my own business, or, I jogged around the world, climbed Everest. So a lot of people think, well, I've never achieved anything because I've never done anything like that before. We're achieving things all the time, especially big things. I spoke with the RDS in Dublin. It was a sporting event and there was other speakers on with me. And they asked them all, who inspired you in life? Who do you look up to? And again, they all mentioned famous athletes and people who had climbed Everest, people who had run 50 marathons in 50 days and stuff. And they asked me, who inspired me in life? Who did I look up to? And I said, my grandmother. And a lot of the audience started laughing. And they asked me why. And I says, because she climbed Everest every day of her life. She had a really, really tough, hard life. She never complained. She got on with it. And she lived till she was 93. And she helped the amount of people she helped in her life and brought them up, and cousins of mine and put them through university. And she was a tough cookie, but she had a big heart. She wasn't tough on people. And that's who inspired me. And there's people like that. If we look around us in our own family, even our neighbours, there's people out there who are overcoming obstacles every day. I was speaking to a friend yesterday, and he was saying he was having a bad day. I says, all right, okay. I says, where are you going now? He says, well, I'm just going round to the house. I says, don't go to the house. Take your car and drive up to North Belfast and call into the children's hospice and tell some of the parents that you're having a bad day. Because that's reality. He wasn't really having a bad day. He was focused on what he didn't have or what he wasn't doing. So you have to reframe things. So again, it's looking back to us, our life wheel. I like this. It's a lot of life coaches use it. Very simple, but it's only when you look at it, it hits you in the face. What spoke on that wheel are you neglecting? What are you ignoring? Okay, a lot of us need career. Some people are careers booming, their finances, there's nowhere else to stash their money that much with. Spiritual life, zero. They feel empty inside. And this is why purpose is very important, as a lot of you will know. If you're only doing things for your own pleasure in life, you can only give yourself so much pleasure. I can only eat so much donuts and then I'll feel sick. But I took that box of donuts and took them out and gave them to the homeless people or to around a family where they're struggling to pay the bills. I'll feel a lot better, and I can keep doing that and feel better every day. That'll never run out, that sense of purpose. Physically, how many people neglect themselves physically? And we see this a lot in the business world. People who are workaholics, a lot of anxiety, stress, and it's always when I retire, and their business maturity, what's waiting on them? if they're lucky to get that far, is a heart attack or maybe a stroke or develop diabetes because they've neglected themselves physically. Intellectually, you have to keep growing. Our brain's designed to just keep learning and growing. Family, again, how much time do we spend with our family? Is there someone in our family that we should be spending more time with? Is there somebody we should be making up with that we're avoiding because we're being stubborn? And social, what's your social life like? Is it non-existent? Do you live like a hermit? Is your friends not enjoying your company anymore? So we should look at this. People say look at it once a month. I think you should look at it every day. Keep it up somewhere where you can see it. So the one that you're neglecting, that you're moving away from, that's causing discomfort, it keeps slapping you in the face every day when you see it. And so take it like the elephant. You know, if you can't phone the person you want to make up with, write them a letter. Send them a funny emoji or something, break the ice, and get back, eating the elephant as we looked at earlier. But it just, nobody's will is perfect, and that's because we're human. And we'll have to keep just looking at it, working on it, and working on ourselves. And if you notice the wheel, you are in the center of the wheel. Your life rotates around you. If you don't exist, you don't have a life. So the center of the wheel is the most important. The hub of the wheel, everything must rotate around. If it's not strong and it's not centered, balanced, the wheel begins to fall apart. So that's another reason why we should work on ourselves on a daily basis. Things that build us up and things that help weed out. Because we have a lot of weeds to pull out. When you stop working on yourself, just life in general, unconsciously, even things are coming up all the time, even by people's actions and circumstances, the news, constantly putting weeds in there. So you must have a daily practice of weeding out the garden and keep sowing the seeds of growth, of self-esteem, of passion for life. They're not all going to take, but you just keep sowing them. Keep putting them out there. Keep weeding. You can't stop weeding out the garden either, because weeds will always blow in. Yeah? So, question time. Last 10 minutes. So, if anybody's any questions on any of that, or how they can apply some of it, or maybe how you're actually applying it yourself, or have done in the past, then if you just unmute yourself.
Sean, Eamon here. I don't know if where I heard it, was it from you or not, but it was to do with the unconscious mind and mantras. And it was saying that you can repeat a mantra as much as you want, but if your unconscious mind is not happy with the mantra, you will never succeed in what you want to do, because you're two conflicting ideas. You're saying it, but your unconscious mind going, I don't believe it. So until you get your thoughts right, well, what you say is actually it's not going to apply.
Yeah, it's the echo has to match the affirmation. It's if you try it all yourselves now. So if you it's stronger if you close your eyes and you focus on your breathing and relax and just state your name. So you would say, my name is Eamon, my name is John or Jane, Tim, and you wait for the feeling that comes after it. My name is Sean. Breathing still okay, still feel relaxed. If I say, my name is Brian, suddenly there's a slight contraction, as if I've told a lie. That's the belief doesn't match the statement. Try it yourself. State your name and then state another name, and notice for subtle changes in the breath or the body.
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can feel a
That's
little
big.
bit.
I'd say you can see it. No, you ever, no, you ever caught on doing something wrong and your mum says, "Did you do that?" No, it wasn't me, and you just you're just cringing inside. you know, did you eat those biscuits before your dinner? No, it wasn't me. It was my brother. But this is what we're talking about. If I'm saying, stating an affirmation, it's a big thing in applied kinesiology as well. I was doing it this morning. If somebody in with addictions, it's the first thing I asked them, are you ready for this? Are you ready to take that other path in life? Yes or no? And you can muscle test them on it, because that tight feeling will switch. It suppresses the nervous system and turns the muscles off. So the body won't lie. And then I'll say to them, I want you to state, I deserve to be happy in life. I deserve to be healthy in life. I deserve to have a better life. And I'll test after each statement. But you can do it yourself to understand because the submind, to me, it looks at itself as a different entity. So, and its language is imagination, and it's very empathic to emotions and stuff. So if I'm saying, if anybody's saying, if you're saying, I deserve to be healthy, that should feel very comfortable. If you say, I deserve to be healthy, and you get a tightness, you need some unconscious work there. I remember years ago, I had a guy came to me. He came for smoking, and I wouldn't have advertised smoking even, but he was smoking like 60 to 70 cigarettes a day, which was quite a lot, and very irrational. He was a president of a golf club, a rugby club. He'd done a bit of stand-up comedy. He had me in stitches. And I said, what are you here for? And he said, smoking. So we done it last week. John and Russ was on. The sway test that a lot of people would see from the emotional code. And they use it in kinesiology as well. So if something's going to cause you pleasure in life and you associate benefits and pleasure, it's going to be great, you'll move forward. That's natural as a human. Unconscious, it's a pleasure seeker. So if you put something horrible, I put in front of this guy is breathing going, diagnosis, being in the hospital, on drips, chemotherapy, losing his. I made it hell. I put hell in front of him, and he moved right into it. And he started laughing, and I says, "That's not funny. Your subconscious somewhere has developed the belief that you deserve to suffer." When he says, "I deserve to be healthy, I deserve to be happy," he switched off. So we've done some work with him to reverse all that, to get it, because you have to bring. I always say you must bring the baby on board. The subconscious has been likened in psychology to a 3-year-old child. So some people call it the chimp, the monkey mind. I prefer having a child in there, not a monkey. So maybe it's just me. So if you want to do something in life, you have to make sure that you're bringing the baby with you. The baby has to be on board. So he started crying then, and he told me that he'd been beating himself up for years. He was a bad person. He had a lot of guilt, a lot of shame and stuff. Something that went on in his life as a teenager. And it wasn't even that bad, but he had made it worse than it was. He was quite young when it happened. But his whole life he'd been putting himself down. And the subconscious does not question what you tell it. If you tell it every day you're a bad person, okay, you're bad. I think you deserve to suffer in some way. So we covered a lot of that. And if you're working with somebody and yourself, if you've decided you've set a goal out, and you can do that very simple exercise and say to yourself, I believe I deserve this. Whatever goal you have in your head, if you get the tightness or the constriction of the breath, you need to do a bit of work on yourself. Okay? And it's not a lot, it's not hard work, but it's better than finding out before you start your journey, because it'll sabotage it and pull you away from it. The same way it stops somebody going to work who's being bullied, it develops irritable bowel syndrome. Yeah, and develop fibromyalgia in people as well. So again, it's not magical. I'm not a wizard. It's just a process that people have developed over a lifetime. I love the old guys that developed the hypnosis, the surgeons, Dr. James Asdale, Dr. James Braid, and that John Asdale, sorry, because they didn't just read books; they practiced. They had hundreds of people every week. They practiced on. Even if you read some of their books, they'll say in it, "I was practicing on my servant yesterday." So they had servants in their house, and they were going, "Okay, I wonder would this work? Hey, Martha, come here." Bang, hypnotize you, try stuff out. So we learn by doing, not by listening or just reading. You learn by doing, and this stuff's no different. You must practice it. How do you practice getting good at resilience? By practicing it in certain aspects of your life where you need to be resilient. Simple as that. Anybody else? Any questions?
Sean, I have to slip away. I'm sorry, but okay. I thought it was fantastic. I loved every minute of it.
Thank you. Okay.
Sorry about that. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Bye
take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Jane, have you got a question?
I do. This is wonderful. I love your practical, but I just feel like I've come to a doctor's visit, you know. Yeah, and I just have all sorts of things to ponder. But is there a best way to do muscle testing? Can you do muscle testing incorrectly?
Muscle testing, I'm actually doing a whole group of, I'm working specifically with one guy, just won a Commonwealth gold medal there, boxing. Depends on who you're with. You must explain it to them first, especially with men, because of their ego. If you start muscle testing, they think it's an arm wrestling competition. And they're thinking, right, you're not coming. And they'll hold their breath and they'll tighten the rest of their body. Where if you explain it to them first and just say, and it is just a reaction. It's not a strength test. It's a reactant. I want to know when I ask the muscle to hold, when I isolate it from the group, it's only like 2 pounds of pressure. Will it react? Will that thought cause that electrical impulse? Hold. There you go. Hold. Sometimes the therapist gets too eager and they want something to be off, so that they have it in their head, you know, and they'll start pushing stronger at certain muscles. You're better coming at it with a blank mind. If you're working with somebody, if I'm doing a whole, you know, going through all the muscles, the major postural muscles, I'm not looking for anything. Something will come up. If nothing comes up, then I need to, I should have checked them, are they switched or are they in a hypertonic state? If you somebody and they're in anxiety for a long time, the body goes into hypertonic mode where it's locking itself up. It's like a fist, and it won't switch anything off. But if the body stays in that state, I can't hold that for so long, it'll burn out. And that's when the adrenal glands burn out and the person, they're totally exhausted. And then they go into apathy. And that's a dangerous place because that's where depression sets in and the immune system's lower. So again, Jane, it's practice. Practice muscle testing with as many people as you get your hands on. When I was learning it, I tortured everybody I knew, even people on trains. Even funny, the last concert I was at in the town was Tom Jones. And I was sitting at a bar, and I was speaking to an athlete, and he was asking me what I'd done, and I explained kinesiology. He'd never heard of it, and I was sitting in the middle of the bar muscle testing him. So you just it's just part of my life. But it's like, and if you've lots of friends say, "Would you see this here? This is so interesting." A good one to start them with is say your name. My name is Brian. Oh, yeah. Say your name is Peter. My name is Peter. Boom. Whoa, what was that? So it's just a tool. It's just a tool. But be aware and say to people, look, this isn't an arm wrestling competition. I just want to know, is your muscles reacting with your nervous system? If you're just, are you just talking about using it for like counseling or psychological, or are you looking at doing the whole?
Actually, I've had, I'm not a practitioner in any way, but I've had different people practice muscle testing on me here and there. And the one practice that I didn't quite understand, I did and I didn't, was this. If there was a certain medicine, whether if I'm deciding that should I take it or shouldn't I take it? Will it agree with me or not? And they'll say, well, take the medicine and put the one pill in your hand, and we'll do muscle testing on it. And I guess I didn't understand that.
That's prioritizing. There's a priority mode where you can you can have 4 or 5 different mix of vitamin C, and you can prioritize what one's best for your body, what one works best for you.
I see. Okay.
It's a massive subject. The kinesiology, there's a lot of therapies in it. They apply kinesiology. It's looks at your imbalances are either electrical, emotional, nutritional, or structural. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you.
So, okay. So that's us. 5 past, run over. Guilty as usual. Talking too much. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next talk next week.